I guess I closed the chapter on my youth way too late and not when it would have done me any good. Back when I was 22, I met her. Chloe. I was working 2 jobs, one at a warehouse, hauling boxes all night, and the other delivering parts for an auto store during the day. No college, just grinding because that's all I knew. But I wasn't bitter about it. I liked working. I liked having a purpose. And I liked Chloe. We met at the diner down the street. She was a hostess. Blonde, always had something smart to say, always chewing gum. She smiled at me once when I came in for coffee and eggs, and that was it. I kept showing up. I didn't even like eggs that much. Eventually, I asked her out. She said sure, like it was no big deal. But to me, it was everything. From the start, I gave her everything I had. Not in some poetic way. I mean literally. Every spare dollar, every hour I could have spent sleeping, everything. She said she liked this necklace she saw at the mall. I bought it 2 days later. Her phone cracked. I used my rent money to replace it and paid late that month, got hit with a fee. I walked around with holes in my socks and didn't care as long as she had what she wanted. Birthdays, holidays, just because days. She never went without. For 2 years I did this. Worked myself to the bone, barely slept, didn't go out. Just her. She was my whole damn world. And the thing is, she never said, I love you. Not once. I ignored that. One night, she came home late. Said she needed to talk. I was already half asleep on the couch with my boots still on. She sat down across from me, didn't even look me in the eye. She said, I've been seeing someone else. I didn't say anything. I think I blinked. Then she added, you're not really my type. You're sweet, but you're not handsome. I used you. You buy me things. You give me money. But I don't want this. Those were her exact words. She got up, grabbed her bag, walked out. And that was it. I sat there on that couch for hours. Sun came up and I hadn't moved. That moment, hearing that everything I did, everything I gave, meant nothing, it just broke something in me. Next few months were a blur. I started drinking. First it was a few beers after work. Then it was whiskey in the morning before work. I stopped going altogether after a while. Bills piled up. I got evicted. Ended up crashing at my cousin's place for a bit, then a buddy from the warehouse who owed me a favor. People said I needed help. I ignored them. Honestly, I didn't care anymore. I'd spent 2 years giving my heart away like it was nothing, and in return I got told I was never enough. Not even close. One night, sitting outside a gas station with a half-warm tallboy in my hand, I thought about calling her. Just to ask why. But I didn't. I just sat there. I had no job. No place of my own. Nothing in my name but regrets. That was the low point. Didn't know it at the time, but something else was coming. Not a miracle. Not redemption. Just a woman with kind eyes and a stupid dog. But I'll get to that. After Chloe left, time stopped making sense. I moved through weeks like they were all the same day. Sleep, drink, wake up late, sometimes not at all. I kept wearing the same hoodie for weeks. Didn't wash it. Didn't care. It smelled like old beer and sweat, but it felt like a shell. Like armor. I didn't want to feel clean. I didn't want to feel anything. My buddy Mark let me crash in his garage. No heat, just a space heater that barely worked. I slept on an old mattress he kept out there for his dogs when they stayed over. One night it rained so hard, water leaked through the ceiling and soaked one side of the mattress. I rolled over and didn't even bother fixing it. All I had was a backpack with some clothes, my phone, and a half-broken wallet. That was my life. People talk about rock bottom like it's dramatic, like it's yelling at a cashier or crying in the rain. But for me, it was just the quiet. It was sitting in that garage, staring at the rafters, wondering how I went from saving up for an engagement ring to not having clean socks. I thought about Chloe more than I wanted to admit. Not even in a bitter way. Just wondering if she ever meant any of it. If any of the smiles or laughs were real, or if I imagined all of it. That's the part that messes you up, the not knowing. I tried to apply for work again. Showed up to an interview smelling like a mix of sweat and desperation. Didn't get it. Another time, I walked 3 miles to a temp agency just to be told they didn't need anyone that week. They gave me a bottle of water and a granola bar, though. That stuck with me more than the rejection. Then one morning, Mark knocked on the garage door and tossed in a paper. Said his girl found a flyer for a local construction site needing help. No experience required, cash paid weekly. I showed up the next day. They handed me a hard hat and told me to start moving bricks. I didn't ask questions. Did that for a few weeks. Long days, sore back, but cash in hand every Friday. I started putting money away, little by little. $10 here, 20 there. Enough to stop sleeping in the garage. Found a room to rent from some older lady named Loretta. Her husband passed 10 years ago. She didn't ask questions, just told me to keep the bathroom clean and stay quiet after 10 p.m. The room was small, just a twin bed and a dresser. But it had a lock and the roof didn't leak. That was my comeback. A door that shut, socks without holes, and warm showers that didn't smell like mildew. I still didn't talk much. Didn't smile. Just worked, ate, and went home. But one morning, something stupid happened. I was walking to the bus stop, same routine, coffee in hand, hoodie up, and this little white dog came running out of nowhere and jumped on my leg. Just yapping and wagging its tail like we were old friends. Behind him, this woman comes running, totally out of breath, hair a mess, holding the leash like it betrayed her. "I'm so sorry," she said, grabbing the dog. "He thinks everyone wants to be his best friend." I looked at her, and I swear, I hadn't seen eyes like that in years. Kind. Tired, maybe? But kind. I just said, "He's got more energy than me." She laughed. It wasn't forced. And that's how I met Rachel. Nothing magical happened that day. We didn't go for coffee. She didn't ask for my number. She just said, "Thanks for not kicking him," smiled again, and walked off with the leash wrapped around her wrist. But for the first time in a long time, I didn't think about Chloe the rest of the day. That meant something. It took me a couple weeks to see Rachel again. I started walking the long way to work on purpose, hoping to cross paths. Sometimes I saw that little white dog tied up outside the coffee shop, tail going like a windshield wiper on high. I'd stop, scratch behind his ears, say something dumb like, "Hey, trouble," and keep walking, half hoping she was inside. One day she was. She came out holding a coffee in each hand, saw me, and smiled like we'd planned it. "Hey," she said. "Dog's inside today." Figured he earned a muffin. I nodded. He earned something. She looked at me, kind of sideways. "You're always out early." I shrugged. "Work. You in construction?" "Yeah." She nodded like that made sense. Then held out one of the cups. "This one's got too much cream. You want it?" I didn't even hesitate. "Sure." That's how we ended up standing outside that shop for 10 minutes, sipping coffee and talking like old neighbors. It was easy. That's the word for it. Easy. Over the next couple weeks, it kept happening. Not every day, but often enough that it didn't feel like luck anymore. She told me about her job, library assistant, part-time. Liked books more than people, she joked. Said she used to live in Chicago but moved back to take care of her mom before she passed. The dog's name was Benny. Rescue. Total maniac. She never asked personal questions. Never poked at my past. That was the hook. Not romance. Not rescue. Just peace. Like she saw me as someone still standing, not someone broken. One Thursday morning, I showed up to the shop and she was already waiting outside with 2 coffees. She held one out and said, "This one's yours." "No cream." I laughed. "You remember." She smiled. "You looked like you needed a good cup last time." We walked a block together. She said something about how Benny chewed up one of her shoes, and I said, "Better the shoe than the sole." She stopped walking and looked at me. "That's poetic," she said. I wasn't trying to be. It just came out. Then she said, "Want to walk him with me tomorrow?" I nodded. I don't remember most of that walk. I just remember feeling like my brain wasn't fogged over for once. Next morning, I showed up. Benny went wild. Rachel laughed and handed me the extra leash. From then on, it became a thing. Fridays. Then Mondays too. Then random Saturdays. Just walking, talking, coffee sometimes. No pressure. No labels. One evening, she asked if I wanted to come inside. Said she made too much soup. I hesitated. She noticed. No expectations. Just soup. So I went in. Small place. Books everywhere. Quiet music playing. Benny flopped on a pillow by the window like he owned the place. We ate in silence at first. Then she said, "You seem like someone who gave too much to the wrong person." I looked at her. She didn't take it back. I said, "Yeah." She nodded. "I've done it too." That was it. No follow-up. No prying. Just acknowledgement. After that, we sat on her couch and watched an old movie. I don't even remember what it was. I just remember thinking, I'm not waiting for something bad to happen. That was new. No kiss that night. No big moment. Just a quiet goodbye at the door and a see you soon that felt real. I walked home, hands in my pockets, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel heavy. It wasn't a big thing. It was just the start of something that didn't hurt. We didn't call it dating. We didn't call it anything. Rachel and I just kept showing up in each other's days. That was enough. At least for a while. Some nights we'd sit on her porch with mugs of tea and not say much. Just listen to the traffic a few blocks over and watch Benny bark at squirrels like they were invading troops. Sometimes I'd help her carry groceries in or fix something small around the house, tighten a hinge, patch a crack in the drywall. She always thanked me like I built the place from scratch. I still lived in that rented room at Loretta's, but I stopped locking the door when I left. I don't know why. Just didn't feel like hiding anymore. That was new too. Rachel never asked about Chloe, but I told her anyway. One night, after we walked Benny and sat on the curb sharing a bag of chips, I just blurted it out. She used me. 2 years. Took everything. Told me I was ugly and that she never really liked me. Rachel didn't say anything at first. Then she passed me the last chip and said, her loss. That's all. And somehow it was enough. That was the moment I realized I wasn't trying to be anyone else around her. Not nicer. Not tougher. Not funnier. Just me. Plain old me. And she stayed anyway. But here's the thing, when you're used to people walking out, staying starts to feel suspicious. I kept waiting for her to change her mind. To say, this was fun, but I need someone more put together. I waited for the silence, the slow fade, the apology that wasn't really an apology. But it never came. She just kept being Rachel. Kind. Smart. A little messy. Big-hearted. Unafraid. One Sunday morning she called and said, "Want to come with me to the shelter?" I said, "For what?" "They need volunteers. You look like someone who could lift a bag of dog food without throwing your back out." I laughed. All right. We spent 3 hours sorting supplies and walking dogs. One of them peed on my boot. She couldn't stop laughing. Said I looked like a disappointed dad. Afterward, we got tacos from a truck and sat in the park. She leaned her head on my shoulder. First time she ever did that. I didn't move. Didn't breathe for a second. It felt like everything slowed down. Then she whispered, "I like being around you." That wrecked me more than anything Chloe ever said. Because she didn't say it to get anything. She just said it because it was true. A few weeks later, she invited me to stay the night. Nothing happened, not like that. We just lay there, fully dressed, her head on my chest, Benny snoring at our feet. It felt like a life I didn't think I deserved. I told her that once, a few days later. Sometimes I don't feel like I've earned this. She said, "You don't earn love. You accept it." That stuck with me. Still does. By the time fall came around, I was basically living at Rachel's place. Still had the room at Loretta's, but it turned into a storage closet. My boots stayed by Rachel's door. My toothbrush in her cup. Benny even stopped barking at me when I walked in, just wagged his tail like I was part of the deal now. We didn't have any big conversation about moving in. No moment where she said stay or I asked to. I just didn't leave one night. Then didn't leave the next. And eventually, we stopped acting like I had somewhere else to be. I picked up more shifts at the construction site. Started putting real money away. Rachel helped me open a proper checking account again. Taught me how to use those budgeting apps. She didn't do it in a condescending way, just wanted to help. She said, "You've taken care of everyone else. Let someone help you for once." It felt weird, but good weird. On weekends, we'd take Benny to the park or drive out to the edge of town for this flea market she liked. She'd buy weird old books and knickknacks. I'd carry the bags and laugh at how excited she got over rusted signs and broken clocks. She made the place feel like a home, and for once, I didn't feel like I was trespassing. She had this way of making normal things feel better than they had any right to be. Grocery shopping. Folding laundry. Arguing about what to watch on Netflix. It was never dramatic. Never explosive. Just easy. I remember one night, she caught me staring at her while she was brushing her hair. "What?" she asked. I said, "I don't think I ever saw someone look so calm just being alone in a room." She smiled at that. You get used to yourself after a while. That's when I realized I was starting to like myself again too. We had a routine. Not the kind that gets boring, the kind that makes you feel safe. Coffee in the morning. Dog walks. Her reading on the couch while I fixed stuff around the apartment. We had our own little world. But here's the thing, I still hadn't said I loved her. Not because I didn't feel it. I did. Every damn day. But part of me was scared that if I said it, it'd break the spell. Like saying it out loud would make her see me how Chloe saw me. Disposable, not enough. So I held it in. Until one night, after dinner, she sat next to me and said, "You're allowed to be happy, you know?" I nodded. Didn't speak. She waited a second, then added, "You're also allowed to say it." That's when I realized she knew. Knew I loved her. Knew I was holding it back. I looked at her and said, "I do. I really do." She didn't cry. Didn't get all emotional. She just said, "Good. I do too." Then she leaned in and kissed me, slow and sure, like we had all the time in the world. I didn't sleep much that night, not because I was anxious or scared. I just kept looking over at her, thinking, this is what it feels like when someone stays. The months kept rolling, and things stayed steady. Not exciting, not dramatic, just good. Rachel and I figured out a rhythm. I picked up more work. Steady pay, not cash under the table anymore. She started working extra shifts at the library. We talked about maybe getting a bigger place someday, something with a small yard for Benny. We weren't in a rush. After everything I'd been through, slow felt right. Sometimes I'd catch myself waiting for it to fall apart. Like maybe she'd wake up one day and realize I wasn't good enough after all. But she never did. She'd put her hand on my back when I was washing dishes. She'd leave sticky notes on my lunch with stupid doodles or quotes. She'd fall asleep on the couch with her head in my lap like it was the most natural thing in the world. That kind of love sneaks up on you. It's not loud. It's not fiery. It just stays. I still had my moments. There were nights I'd wake up sweating, heart racing from dreams I couldn't remember. Times I'd stare off at work, thinking about how low I'd gotten, how close I came to not pulling out of it. And sometimes I'd see Chloe in town. Once at the grocery store. Another time, just walking past me on the sidewalk. She didn't say anything either time, just looked right through me. I thought I'd feel something when that happened. Anger, hurt, maybe even longing. But I didn't. It was like watching someone from an old movie I didn't care to rewatch. One night, I told Rachel I'd seen her. She didn't ask how I felt. She just asked, "Do you want to talk about it?" I said, "Not really." She said, "Okay." And that was it. She didn't make it about her. Didn't turn it into a lecture or a therapy session. Just let me sit with it until I didn't need to anymore. A year after we met, she handed me a little box. I opened it, thinking it was a gift or a key or something symbolic. It was a new pair of socks. Nice ones. Thick, warm, no holes. She just said, thought maybe it was time. I didn't cry. Not in front of her anyway. But later that night, after she fell asleep, I sat on the edge of the bed holding those socks and felt like I'd finally put something to rest. Not the pain, not the past, just the part of me that thought I didn't deserve anything better. We never had a wedding, didn't need one. No white dress, no rented hall, no Facebook announcement. Just two people who'd been through enough to know what mattered. A year and a half after that first coffee, I asked Rachel to move with me. The company offered me a better position in another town. More hours, better pay, steadier schedule. I told her it was up to her. If she didn't want to go, I'd stay. No pressure. She said, "Let's go." Just like that. We packed our things, mostly books and secondhand furniture. Loaded Benny into the back seat with a blanket and a box of chew toys. The drive took 4 hours. We didn't talk much, just listened to old songs and stopped once for gas station sandwiches. The new place wasn't fancy. Just a small rental on a quiet street with enough yard for Benny to do his loops. I built a shelf in the living room. She painted the bedroom walls a soft blue. We planted a tomato vine in the backyard that immediately died. But we laughed about it and left the pot there anyway. I started sleeping better. Not because life was perfect, but because it wasn't pretending to be. Rachel started taking photography classes. I started reading more. We went to the farmer's market on Saturdays and cooked together on Sundays. One night, out of nowhere, she said, "You know, you're the calmest place I've ever known." I didn't say anything right away, just pulled her in and held her like I might not get another chance. Because I knew what it felt like to lose someone who didn't love you. And I knew what it felt like to be found by someone who did. The funny thing is, I still keep that old pair of socks in the drawer. The torn ones. Not because I wear them, just because they remind me of who I was, what I survived, how low I got, and how I got back up. Not because of one grand moment, but because of someone who met me on an ordinary day, handed me a cup of coffee, and didn't ask me to be anything more than exactly who I was. So yeah, she saved me. Not with big promises or fireworks, just by staying. And for the first time in my life, that's all I ever needed.